Chase Dollander, the #1 prospect in our organization and hopefully the future ace, has not been off to the best start of this first season of his since being drafted. Currently only a 5.28 ERA and a 1.63 whip here in his first few starts. 28 strikeouts in 30 innings is looking a little bit better, but we certainly hope that he can start to turn things around and turn into a better pitcher here at the AA level. And so he will be the focus for us today. We're going to watch a couple of his starts to see if he can start to get things going. And good start to this game for sure against the Fighting Phillies. Got that first strikeout right away, and now it's out number 2 with a pop-up. Drew Romo hauling it in. Wingrove up to bat now. 0-0 pitch is right on that edge. Beautiful fastball there to help get him that early strike. And then chasing down that lazy fly is Ritter. Bottom of the second now. 0-0 still the score, and a good first pitch of this at-bat there. Getting ahead, and then Radcliffe will chop this one to short. We're out number 1. Rincones up to bat. This one left a little over the plate, but Rincones can't quite square it up. 2 groundouts here in the second. And a beautiful fastball low and outside to start the AB. Another pitch low here. And we've got ourselves a 1-2-3 inning for the second consecutive time. 7-hitter up here to start the third. Another pop fly into foul territory, and handled over at first base. And we're just seeing Dollander show off an impressive amount of control on that fastball. He is getting ahead in these counts, and he's finishing them off as well. Very solid start here on these first 8 outs. Trying to get number 9 here, and we get it. A nice throw on the move. No hits so far through 3 innings, but not getting any run support either. Our yard goats do have a few hits, but nothing to show for it, and that's an ugly swing there from Crawford. Great job by Dollander to force him to swipe at that one, which wasn't really close to the zone, and here he picks up another strikeout. Wanted to see him start to turn things around, and so far, so good here in this start. 4 scoreless innings. And the yard goats finally give him some run support. No, they cannot. 2-2 here. Bottom of the 5th. 0-0 still the score. And the first hit allowed. Went 4 full innings before he allowed a hit, but the single there will get somebody on the base pass, and another pitch right there on the edge of the zone on these 0-0 pitches. He's been excellent getting ahead of these counts by painting the edges of these zones, and a swing and a miss on the curveball high and inside. He's forced a couple of embarrassing swings today. Dollander in his bag. Lazy fly out here to Benny Montgomery. Easily gets underneath it, and a 5th scoreless inning. But our yard goats having just as much trouble scoring here. Dollander picks up another strikeout here to start the 6th, bringing up the 9-hitter Kroon, who swings and misses at the slider. 2 strikeouts here in the 6th. Another excellently painted fastball on the edge there to start this AB, and a swing and a miss to end it. 1 hit, no runs allowed through 6 innings, but the yard goats cannot score. We're starting to get to the point of the game where pitch count becomes a factor. I mean, he's at 77 now here in the 7th, which is really good. This is right around where his stamina is. So you wonder if he can keep it going for the rest. We're at 7 2/3 now, and he's shown no sign of slowing down. This one low in the zone, grounded over to second. Easy play made, and a 7th scoreless inning. Finally, the Yard Goats put something on the board here ahead of the 8th. But can Dollander's arm make it through the rest of this game is the question. He's going to give up the leadoff single. Pitching here to Huaca Grego. Ground ball into foul territory, handled by Romo. Now, this one hit well into right field. Should be extra bases for Schwecke. Veen throws it to the cutoff man, and now the Phillies have 2 men in scoring position. Another ball hit into right field. It will be caught by Veen, but that's a taggable distance. The throw not made. And so the shutout for Dollander is broken up here in the 8th inning, and that will end his day. Ultimately, it would take extra innings, but the Hartford Yard Goats would come away victorious in this one. Unfortunately, it won't be a win in the stat column for Chase Dollander, but a really, really good outing for sure from our ace pitcher at the AA level. Certainly showed the reason why this organization is very high on his future. We've got one more start here from Dollander that I want to see today this time. Going to be in front of the home fans. That one start just by itself brought him below 5 ERA. Hoping to see another strong one here today. I like that black and orange glove. Represents the University of Tennessee where he comes from. Jumping throw here from shortstop. Going to be a nice play to start this game. Kasevich up to bat, and he's swinging and missing. The 0-0 fastball. Something that really helped Dollander in the last game was getting ahead of these cans with these beautiful fastballs on the edge. And early on in this one, he's showing a very similar strategy. 0-2 is gonna be a strike. He went around. And a very strong first from Dollander once more. Already getting his glove checked over by the umpire. That's how nice of an inning it was. 10 pitches, no hits. Here in the second inning, Yard Goats already put a run on the board, which is nice to see. But we get a leadoff single. Struck hard into center field. This one's lifted. Benny Montgomery giving chase. And he's able to get underneath it. One down, one on for Espino. Lifted this time to left. Jordan Beck in pursuit. Able to glove it. 2 down now. Gotti, another hit into the outfield. This time, Veen tried to get to it, but he missed it, and so it's down in the corner. Veen has to chase it, but trying to get aggressive there in the field. Gonna cost probably the run. You might have been able to get across even without it, but definitely turned the double into a triple at the very least. Another ball lifted into the outfield. This time, looks like it's a little bit lazier. So we've got the out via Jordan Beck. Yard Goats once again putting another run on the board. So we're getting a little bit more in terms of run support in this game, which you like to see. Doesn't put as much pressure on your pitcher. And we get the fly ball here. Not as much in terms of the ground ball and the strikeouts as we saw from last game. Seeing a lot more in that fly ball territory. And a swing and a miss there. There's the strikeout. 2 down here in the third. Kasevich up to the plate, and it's another ball hit into the outfield. Just what we're going to be seeing a lot of today, it seems. 3 down, only 1 run allowed. The score will remain 2-1 here as we get into the fourth, and a swing and a miss from Robertson adds another strikeout onto the board for Chase Dollander. Strong pitch there. Helps him get ahead of the count. 1-2 here, but Barry able to get it through the infield. All the same. That'll bring up Williams. 1 down, 1 on. Going for the steal, but Drew Romo able to throw him out. Looked like a run and hit situation there. But executed well there by the Yard Goats, and then swinging in the dirt for the strikeout to end the 4th. The Yard Goats keep their lead. Top of the 5th now. Dollander. Got that one pretty well located on the outside, but it was timed up well by Espino. And he'll settle for just the single. Not the easiest pitch to hit, but he did a nice job squaring it up. Coming back with the strikeout, though. De Los Santos up. High in the zone, popped up to center field. Eddie Montgomery easily tracks it down. 1 on, 2 down for Britton. Another pitch lifted to center. Benny Montgomery getting his workout done here today. And we're now 5 innings through. Top of the 6th. Score still 2-1. Offense not giving a lot of run support. Again, it started off well, but they've slowed down. And Dollander allowed his first walk of the game in the 6th, which I think is pretty good rate, I'd have to say. Pitch count getting up there, already into the mid-70s as he strikes out Robertson low in the zone. 2 down here, top of the 6th. Now Barry, strikeout once more looking, and that's going to end off the game for Chase Dollander. 2 very strong starts that can hopefully get his season at AA going. Maybe we're a little bit of a good luck charm. I mean, we started taking a look at Zach Veen. He got things going. Now for Chase Dollander, we just got to take a look at these guys for them to perform, I suppose. We would end up losing this game to the Fisher Cats, unfortunately, but not by the fault of Chase Dollander by any means. He was awesome for his 6 innings, just the 1 run allowed. Only 2 runs allowed in 13 innings between the 2 games. Just really well done by Dollander today. Hoping he can now carry this momentum forward for the rest of the season. That will bring us to the final scouting period here prior to the draft. We've gone over a lot of time here in this episode, and we've got a lot of scouting done, and I'm excited to show you what we've been able to discover at the end of last episode. There weren't a lot of players to get excited about. Well, that has changed. Let's take a look now at the draft. We have a new number 1 player, Rafael Murillo, here out of Illinois, and he looks really, really good. Definitely deserving of that top overall spot in our rankings. Looking to be probably at least, in the 50s, pretty much all across the board. Very well-rounded skill sets. Gonna be in the 60s in his power, most likely, for both right and left-handed hitters. Now, his interest isn't perfect. It's only 48%, but that's not low enough to actually create a problem by any means. His bonus demand isn't super high. Injury risk is average, so we'll see where that lands. I feel like average injury risk in this game has a very wide spectrum of where that could land on the durability scale, but that's probably the only hole you can really poke in his game, other than the fact that he's a shortstop who has no speed. So I don't know if shortstop is his long-term position. You can play second and third as well. I feel like those 2 are probably better options for him in the long run, but it's not like he's, can't field. He's certainly a solid fielder. It's just the athleticism that you want at shortstop. You probably can find somebody later on in this draft or another draft entirely that can be more of a defensive asset at the shortstop position. But this guy, he brings power and plate skills, 2 things that we're absolutely looking for from our position players. And should he make it to 3, which I think there's a decent chance he will, seeing as how he's MLB ranked 20, I will have my eye on him. After that, you have Henry Tanana here. I would have to make sure I was pronouncing that right, but he's a really solid pitcher. His walks per 9 are going to be elite out of the gate. Stamina wise, he'll be probably just in the 70s, which is okay. Hits per 9 and home runs per 9, though, are two really big issues with him. So if you're taking him, top 3 in a draft, he's going to have problems there. And one of the things we're focusing on in pitching is that home runs per 9. So the fact that it's that much of a struggle for him does, knock him down a peg. But that's not to say you wouldn't draft him at all. I just think with him being draft rank 32, he's more of a target at 37, despite the fact that our scouts rank him as number 2 in the draft. Next up, we have Rene Bautista here. He's somebody that I just wrapped up his scouting. Now, he looks to be somebody that you draft to be a leadoff hitter for you. Not going to be a guy that's going to provide you power. Not going to be much of a defender at all either, but he's going to be really good contact, plate skills, and speed and stealing. So he's the guy, he's going to get on base, and he's going to be able to steal bases once he does. Your prototypical leadoff man. He's probably, if we're going to go position player at 3 overall and Murillo is off the board, I could envision myself taking him. He's certainly kind of the guy who has his skill set, but also a lot of holes. He's really, really good at some things. He's really, really bad at others. He's not that well-rounded skill set that you'd prefer at 3, but he's so good at the contact, the plate skills, and the base running that he just might still be worth that top 3 pick. Our scouts have him ranked at number 4. He's got solid interest in our team. We don't know his injury risk, unfortunately, because we didn't get all the way to 100%. Got another pitcher here, Ronald Castillo. Very good stamina, velocity, and break. Those are the ratings you like to look at and be high because they're very hard to upgrade in the show. The other ones can upgrade pretty reliably. He's more of a strikeout strength pitcher, which is pretty solid. He's somebody that honestly is maybe my favorite pitcher in the class. I know Henry is ranked above him, but I just think he doesn't have the glaring holes as much as the other guy. So if we decide to go pitcher, which I think will be on the board pretty much once if Murillo goes in with one of the first 2 picks in the class, then I think it's kind of a hodgepodge of guys that I could see myself drafting. But Murillo, I would say, is kind of on a tier of his own on my board at the top. Next up, we've got ourselves our best discovery player in the class. That is Brian Doe. I'm going to say that's Doe. Now, he's a player that brings the power once more, something that we're absolutely looking for in this series. Another guy with the average injury risk. You'd obviously love to see low, but at least, it's not high and he's not injured. Defensively, he's got good fielding and reaction, but a terrible arm, so you're going to need to boost that arm up. Probably left field only, not an actual center field player, but he's got great speed as well. Speed, power, that's a good starting place, I think. You can build kind of the rest off of it. Gonna need help with the on-base percentage, gonna need help with his arm, but this is somebody that's gonna be on the top of my list for our second pick at number 37. If he's there, it's gonna be hard for me to pass. I also think he's right in line. These 2 center fielders, I think, are pretty similar. Their skill sets are kind of opposite, but this is the contact on base guy, where this guy brings more power. The fielding, though, from Doe, I think might give him the edge, and the fact that, we are trying to prioritize power in this series. So I would say my second favorite position player would actually be Brian Doe, and Bautista would be my third favorite. So just based off the kind of top of the class, I would venture to guess that it's going to be a position player. I think I would maybe take all 3 of the position players over Castillo. And since we have a top 3 pick, we're guaranteed one of them will be there. Morgan Villarreal was somebody that was on my board until the injury showed up. And even though he has that low injury risk, being injured does affect your ratings, and it just puts you a little far down the board though. But he's guaranteed at least, mid to high B potential and in the 60s overall, as long as the injury doesn't affect him. But the problem is that injury is likely to affect him. Now, Johnny Brennan is one of the biggest risers in the draft for us from the MLB consensus board. 92 on the MLB board, but a top 10 player for our scouts. Now, you worry a little bit that home runs per 9 is low once more, but he's going to throw really hard as a curve, slurve, sinker, and a fastball. Very interested in signing with us, and he has pretty good walks per 9, which I think you like to see. So he's somebody that if you can get with that 41 or 79 pick, I think you're pretty happy with it. Kurt Kellenberger here. He's somebody a little bit older, so we have a better idea of his skill sets. Doesn't throw super hard. Gonna be, honestly, probably upper 80s on his fastball, which is not great. But another elite walks per 9 guy in this class. And his hits per 9 is going to be his lowest stat, and it's going to be mid 40s. So that's not bad at all. Well-rounded skill set, just doesn't throw very hard and is a little bit older. So not perfect, but again, we have 37 and 41. There's going to be a lot of guys in play for that, and you need a lot of options there, because if you only have a couple options that you like, they tend to get sniped. Now, Richard Chen was somebody that he was the first guy we scouted. I thought he looked pretty good. I just think he's been outclassed by some guys as the scouting process has gone along. He's going to be a good power hitter for somebody, though, with decent upside. Jeff Ramirez is the best bullpen guy in this class for us. Really good strikeout guy, solid velocity, has a 4-pitch mix. If we can get him, I'd say probably the earliest I'd want to draft a reliever in this class is that 79 pick, maybe that 109. That would be great. Michael McGaffick is somebody that I really, really like in this class. And again, 37, 41, 79. I'd draft him with any one of those picks. Has good starter stamina, going to have it in the mid 80s. He throws kind of that mid to upper 90s fastball, curveball, changeup, cutter off of it. Home runs per 9 is really high. And again, we are prioritizing that here in this franchise. Not going to be a major strikeout guy, but that's okay. It's going to be at least solid on the walks, going to be really good on the home runs, throws decently hard, has good stamina, and he's 97% interested in joining us. So McGaffick, I really, really like him. I don't think he's the best pitcher in this class, but if I had to bet one pitcher, being a Colorado Rocky by the time the draft is done next episode, I would say it's Michael McGaffick. Really, the only thing with him is his age, and he only has average injury risk, but really good player here. Who's the next guy that I think is worth talking about here? That's kind of, you see a teardrop after that. Everybody that I've mentioned so far, guys that I'm excited to take at like 41. After this, we're talking about guys that I probably wouldn't consider till at least pick 79. Dominic Flores, he was somebody that when we first discovered him, he was ranked as the number 4 player in the class, but once we scouted him, figured out it wasn't quite as good. Walks per 9 and home runs per 9 are both going to be problems for him. He's going to have insanely good hits per 9, guaranteed in the 80s, which is really cool. 3-pitch mix, going to be fine. Again, if you can get him at 79, 109, somewhere around there, still would absolutely love to take him. Kyle Brown is actually the person that I want to scout here. He kind of slipped through the cracks in Discovery, but he's somebody that I'm interested to see. He's one of the probably main candidates. We'll see what happens when we scout him for being somebody that we get out of position that's not in the first round, right? A lot of the position players on our board will be gone by the time that 41 pick comes. But Kyle Brown could be there, so we want to scout him to see if he's worth it. Now, let's get back to the overall board here. Continue going through. We'll go through probably my top 50 guys here today that I'm excited for in this class. Freddie Valencia is going to be kind of a high floor, low ceiling type pitcher, but he'll be good. Brian Leroy, we're about a round higher on him. I don't particularly see it. I think we'll have better options in the class. And there you go. That's pretty much the guys worth noting in this class. Let me know who some of your favorites are. And, you know, if we get to the point in a draft where it's a tie, maybe somebody who has some support in the comments will be the tiebreaker, and I'll select him over someone else. I'll say, if I had to tell you my favorite players in the class, Rafael Murillo, obviously number one. I love Brian Doe. I love Michael McGaffick. I really like this closer. I would love to be able to take him. And I'm very interested to see what Kyle Brown gets. We should get him all the way up to 100% because of his age, which is nice. Not going to be much of a power guy, but going to hopefully look to provide pretty much everything else. So you like to see that. And if we can get that, you know, with pick 41 or 79, I'm all for it. So there you have it. One other guy that we're going to be scouting this week. We'll only get him up to 50% scouted, but could be another relief option in the draft. And we will, I guess, do this for the final week. That's what we're looking at ahead of our first draft. I think we're pretty well prepared for it. And unless the CPU totally snipes us, we'll have a very, very good draft. We end the episode here the day of the draft. So we will be doing the draft next episode. And the last thing I want to do here for this episode, as we see Colorado is 37-58, not having the best of seasons as we would have expected, is I want to give an update as to how kind of our most important prospects are doing on the year. Chase Dollander this episode has his ERA down below 3. And he's really turned things around since the rough start. He started this episode with an ERA above 5. He's gotten much better. He's up to nearly a 3 WAR. He's pitched 104 innings, which does lead all pitchers for us at this point. He leads us in a lot of categories, and starting to see exactly why he was selected with a top 10 pick in the previous draft. Coming up across the board, these per 9s are looking good. +3 to strikeouts, walks, and home runs per 9. Really needed these boosts to the walks and the home runs, so glad to see those. Zach Veen up next, still hitting over 300. He did come down from hitting, 386 at the end of last episode. We knew he wasn't going to be able to keep that up. Still an OPS above 850. Really respectable, up to 9 home runs, 17 doubles. His WAR is 1.3. He's looking really good. And attribute-wise, looking really good against righties this year. It looks like +5 contact, +3 power. Still losing some ratings against lefties. +1 across the board in his fielding, +2 to discipline and clutch. You like to see it. Sterling Thompson up next. He has not been developing very well as a hitter. He has -2 contact versus lefties, but +2 power, and then just +1 contact versus righties. So rating's not going up a ton there, but they're not going down. He's getting +3 discipline, which is nice. +2 clutch. Hitting wise, 234 with an OPS of 664. Not as well as you'd like to see. I think he can do better. Negative WAR player right now at AA, so struggling a bit as we get, up in that midway point of the season area. Up next is Jordan Beck, which, as you can see right here, his potential has been dropped to see. So it's likely 79, maybe 78. But -4 contact versus lefties, not having a great year there. His power is not being developed at all. -2 discipline, so he must be striking out a lot. He's has 62 strikeouts in 272 at bats. Hitting 261, not bad. 745 OPS. I'm surprised he has the same amount of home runs as Zach Veen. His power is not being developed at all here. Is a negative WAR player. And then last guy we want to look at with B potential would be Drew Romo, on a cold streak right now. He's developed a little bit, +2 to both against righties, +1 to both against lefties, +2 vision, 1 to discipline and clutch, 1 across the board in his fielding. So super solid season from him. He's not going down in anything. There's nothing that he's getting more than a boost of 2 on. I guess he is going down 1 in speed, but I mean, I'm not worried about it at the catcher spot. Has a positive WAR, so he has been one of our better players at the AA level. So struggling with Jordan Beck and Sterling Thompson. Veen, Dollander are doing well, and Romo's solid is kind of your mid-season updates on these guys, and we'll probably update you on how they're doing at the end, or at least at some point in every episode, just so you can see periodic updates, and we can see who's on a hot streak or a cold streak, who we might need to take a look at in the following episode. But of course, next episode we're going to be focusing not so much on our current prospects, but on our prospects of the future. I'm excited for the draft. If you want to advocate for anybody, do so in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching this episode, and we'll be back soon with the draft, and I'll see you then.